Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another VGC video with me, Zion, VGC Senior from California. And today, we will be going over the downfall of Calyrex Ice in the Regulation G format, switching over to Regulation I. But today, I am not alone, and am in fact joined by a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Joshua Rowell, but I go by Delta online. In the 2025 season, I have had 2 top 4s at the Louisville Regional Championships and the Atlanta Regional Championships, and 2 top 8s at the Toronto Regional Championships and the San Antonio Regional Championships, as well as a top 16 at the Juniors 2024 World Championships.
Wonderful to hear. Tell me now, how do you feel about Calyrex's place in the meta as of Regulation G?
In Regulation G, I feel like Calyrex Ice, it just kept on performing consistently well at every regional or international. I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, that it never placed below top 32 at a
I'm
regional or international.
I'm willing to believe that. That seems like a very accurate statement for a Pokemon of this caliber. I believe it is also tied for the most amount of regional wins with Miraidon, because you have, going from most recent to the
I'd
past, we
also agree
have...
with NAIC. Like, if you mean majors, maybe.
Oh yeah, Majors, yeah. Because, of course it won Brisbane on that Hard Trick 'em team by Diego Ferreira. It won on Hard Trick 'em the week before with Michelle Kelch. Um, it won the Rio de Janeiro championships in Brazil, used by where is it? Juan Salerno. You have a win the week after with the team created by Justin and Shiliang Tang. That iconic finals mirror match. And then you have the team from the North American International Championships, used by, where is it? Patrick Connors. There we go. Yeah, this Pokemon has always been putting up very consistent results in the metagame. If you even look as far back as Indianapolis, like, we can see how well it plays there. Right, third place right here. Already just such an incredible Pokemon. And like that consistency, like, it kind of tricked a lot of people into thinking it would still be good, right? Like, in kind of the early Regulation G meta, or Regulation I, you kind of saw like this things like these Miraidon Cali Ice teams popping up, but they weren't doing very well, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, so this Pokemon has definitely fallen off, because in Regulation G, right, it was so splashable. There was so many things you could do with it. You have like these hard Trick Room cores, this kind of Tail Room balance core, hyper offensive cores, and then even like things like this rain balance right here. You could work with it really well. I'm not sure. Delta, how do you feel about how this Pokemon performed?
In Reg G, it was really consistent, as I said. Like, it just kept on doing well at every event. Like, there was no main counter to it. Like, because it's so flexible with the Terra type. Like, it could be flexible with the item, too. You could go Clear Amulet, Never Melt Ice. Some people even went Assault Vest.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of creative things being done with this Pokemon. I feel like it's the only one where, like, you could go to a regional and you can see like 5 or 6 entirely different teams centered around, because it's such a flexible key centerpiece.
It doesn't even have to be the centerpiece. Like, with the Tang team from San Antonio, like, multiple matches, Justin Tang and Shilling Tang didn't even have to bring Calyrex because the other pieces were just so powerful.
Yeah, I've tended to notice that about like a lot of the teams, right? Like Calyrex is like your main mon, but like the other Pokemon paired around it are survivable, and I don't think that stands anywhere near as well in Regulation I. And I believe that this is because of kind of the way the meta becomes more fast and offensive, right? Where like Regulation G, like as it started to turn more offensive, Calyrex kind of went down with the rise of things like Koraidon, right, Lunala, as well as the meta kind of started to shift towards that Psychic metagame. This Pokemon started to like fall off a little bit, even despite having that Psychic typing. But it's more because like the number one thing it uses is like those incredible bulk stats, like as seen here, right? These base stats 100, 150, 130. Right, this Pokemon's just like tanking every hit with plenty of HP to spare, but in like a double restricted metagame, just the damage output that is leagues higher. It can't really seem to keep up.
Yeah, as well as like the Pokemon who are like they're getting bulkier as well. So like two-shotting stuff isn't two-shotting stuff anymore. Like you're not two-shotting a Zamazenta with +1 defense, and like there are multiple resists to it. Like Ensign is so splashable now because of the rise of CSR Pagos that it just has a really hard time because of like Will-O-Wisp fake out slowing it down, knockoff removing clear amulet or never belt dice.
Yeah, and another thing is right, it becomes less flexible in the role that it can play because you kind of want to like in this sort of a double restricted metagame, you want both of your restricteds kind of doing the same thing, right? Where in Regulation G, you were able to like cater your team to Calyrex Ice and what you wanted to do with it. Now, like you have an entire another restricted to handle, and kind of like Calyrex's more faster offensive things like Ting Team and the more Tailwind type stuff doesn't really fit with a lot of other restricteds as well. So you're kind of forced to go either a balance mode and just like accept that you're always going to move last with this Pokemon, or go with something like this hard Trick Room team right here. But I mean, even still, right, this Pokemon, like, it has a lot of potential, but I just don't like think people are seeing that. Like, if you look at these Victory Road challenges, right, um, it's not even in the top 8 at all, right? It's just dominated by CSR and Lunala, which both have a great matchup into it. Zama has a good matchup into it. Insins everywhere, and Calyrex isn't like that Pokemon. There's all these like powerful fire types and stuff like that. Ogerpon Cornerstone, right? Amoonguss. It's just a ton of things that give Calyrex Ice so much trouble.
There's also the rise of Brute Bonnet instead of Amoonguss, and Brute Bonnet can actually spore before Calyrex moves.
That is true. Yeah, like it's like more defensive as well. Just like you have to pull SEVs into taking that hit. Um, Especially with like the Protosynthesis defense boost. So like you can even like switch in on a Glacial Lance, take the hit, and then spore it before it gets to move. Um, and then if you're able to go to like the second VR challenge, right? There's a couple Calyrexes in top 8, but there's also more of this like Brute Bonnet pick, as we mentioned before. Calyrexes, Lunala, again, Zamazentas, like CSR Zama. It's just two restricteds that have a great matchup in a Calyrex Ice Rider, and so it really just doesn't get to do anything most of the time, like
Yeah,
more CSR Zama.
with most of the reason it's really bad now, or like it's not really bad, but it's like falling off a lot, is because Zama is super splashable and it can go on basically any archetype it wants. It's like CSR in a way, because every restricted loves the support of wide guard. You have a good defensive switch in, and it's just able to take basically any hit, so it can just be a sponge of damage if you need it to be.
Mhm. And then, because like if you want to look at like usage statistics, right? Uh, Calyrex is falling down to 5th place in terms of individual restricted, which is still like incredibly good, but it's nowhere near the dominance like it used to have. And then in day 2, it's kind of falling off. It's below Zama. It's near things like Kyogre and Terapagos, which you wouldn't really think this Pokemon would be kind of bordering close to. Um, but I really think it is just because like the kind of pace of the meta being more like a fast offensive kind of blow stuff up meta has turned against it.
Yeah.
And then there's also with when restricted formats come around, there tends to be like tons of that wide guard support, right? As you were mentioning earlier, the Lunala, the Zamazenta, even things like um like I've seen people use Pelipper, right? Grimmsnarl is going up in usage. Foul Play as a move is becoming more common. So this Pokemon, as compared to like Reg G, where a lot of these things like they were still around, but they weren't nearly as ever present as they are now. This Pokemon just isn't being able to do anything.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Because like even if you look down here, right?
Its defensive typing is like really bad. Like when you combine ice and psychic, they don't resist any of each other's weaknesses. So you have like what 7 weaknesses, I think.
Um,
And it's like to really
something like
common
that.
types as well.
True, yeah. I believe
No,
it's
no, no. Yeah,
6.
yeah. Psychic resist fighter.
Uh-huh. But that also makes it so that it can't pair with auto restricteds very well, because the thing you want, like at least one of your restricteds, you want it to have a really good typing, right? Think like the CS Tahar, the Zacian, the Zamazentas, even Miraidon, right? Because like now Calyrex becomes the Terra Hog, and you don't really have that slot flexible on any other Pokemon. Because like you can go down here,
Yeah.
right? It's basically always paired with Miraidon, and then it's not even here, right? Afterwards, versus you things like more like
Yeah.
the Tricker Restrictor is starting to lean towards Lunala.
If you look at it, all of the Calyrex in day 2 were on Calyrex Miraidon.
This is true, yeah. You have 3 right here, and then right
There's
here.
one with Moth.
Wow. But yeah, up here, this one, and then it's just nowhere to be seen. Um, like this Pokemon is also like, because in Regulation G, you'd basically always use your Terra on Calyrex, and that's fine, because there's like a bunch of different Pokemon that you can splash it with, like their typings are fine. You don't really need the Terra exactly. Um, and so like that became like it's your one centerpiece, so like it being a Terra Hog is just kind of fine. Versus now you have 2 of those big centerpiece Pokemon, and you're just kind of leaving the other one to suffer.
Yeah, like if you Terra, like you're paired with Miraidon. If you Terra into, for example, Fire, Landorus just runs you over.
um, yeah, and like also because this Pokemon again, like its hair type being splashable is like it worked very well for it, but now it kind of doesn't because
Yeah,
like
it can't go for like poison or grass.
yeah, there's many more Terra types that are like kind of restricted from it, as well as like weather control being more present, Koraidon Sun being around more often. This thing is just getting blown up by flare blitzes and stuff like that. Terra Fairy isn't really an option anymore, so this Pokemon is kind of shunned to the standard fire or water. And even then, like that still loses to Miraidon.
Terra Water, you lose to Miraidon. Terra
True.
Fire, you lose to Ogerpon, Hearthflame, and Landers. No, not Ogerpon, Hearthflame, Ogerpon, Cornerstone.
Well, you lost anyways, yeah. But I definitely see where you're going with that. But even then, like I guess it's not all bad, right? This Pokemon still's got options, right? Because I think Calyrex Kyogre has a decent amount of potential in this format. A composition like this, like you run it with like a bulky Screen Scream Snarl, and the idea is just like you can just do more damage than them because of how bulky you really are. Try to set up that tailwind or that Trick Room,
Yeah,
so you
but
can.
like against this team, what looks really good into this would be like Chenpao Zamazenta. It just runs this over.
True, yeah. Because yeah, I see like there's a large ice weakness with this team. Even like Rillaboom can give this team trouble because like Raging can't really touch it. Landorus doesn't. Landorus loses to it, right?
Yeah,
Amoonguss can't really
only
touch it, and then like Ice Rider can hit it really hard. But like you could have like like a Rillaboom partner force Calyrex to Terra, and then like what is the Kyogre doing, right? Like you're still gonna faint to that Wood Hammer.
yeah. It's also like no matter what Terra type you choose, unless it's water now, because you have to go an elemental Terra. Like you could go dragon, but like then you lose faster to like Flutter Mane, Miraidon. Like if you go an elemental Terra, for grass, you keep the fire and bug weaknesses. And for fire, you keep the rock weakness. So the only one you can go for like a truly safe defensive Terra is water. But then you just lose to Miraidon.
True. Yeah, because like this team, I see this team absolutely getting run over by Miraidon. Um, and like that was like again like the rise of that Pokemon becoming as good as it is, right, on teams like these over here. It's always going to be really common in a format like this. Um, so Calyrex again loses a bit more of that space to kind of navigate its way through the format.
Yeah, like the only way I see it being good is like when it's paired with a special attacking restricted, like the one on top, the Terapagos team.
Mhm.
Like both of them, you're not resisting both Glacial Lance and Stellar Starstorm. So you have the Decorate Smeargle as well to like boost up your Calyrex. It's never Melt Ice, so that like you just do generally more damage. So like you have the guaranteed KOs on like Miraidon, like they can't be lucky to live. And you have like the hard TR mode, and then you have the Tailwind mode. So like I feel like it has to be on these tail room teams now, because like otherwise if you go like all in on Trick Room, then like you can just get shut down really easy.
Because like even this hard Trick Room team right here, like a lot of these Pokemon just kind of lose to standard Lunala with Wide Guard, right? Terra Fairy, stuff like that. Even Terra Water, and you can just kind of sit on this while your
Yeah,
partner
like the
is.
only like with the Lunala Calyrex Ice teams, you're running 3 Psychic types that are all weak to Dark,
And
and then
like,
triple normal.
true, yeah. So like it's kind of like forcing like these size spamming
Like
teams. It's never going to help it with like that defensive idea.
yeah, so like again, Tianpao Zamazenta, you have no switch into Throat Chop Body Press.
And like because like both of these restricted, right? They kind of lose to CSR. Um,
They
the
also
issue,
just lose to Instant.
true, but like the issue with that is that you can only Terra one of them, right, to deal with all of these dark types going around. And so, what does the other one do? Do you not bring it and play one restricted, right? Or you have to play incredibly careful and make absolute certain that like you kill the opposing dark type of something like Incin or Chi with like this Ursaluna pick or Urshifu and whatnot.
It's also that with Lunala, you're not like OHKOing anything with Expanding Force if you're not at +1. So you need to Meteor Beam. And it's not really a sweeper if it takes a turn to get set up. So like you have the Cali Eye, it sets up Trick Room, and then like it eventually dies. Then you go to Lunala, and then like you have 3 turns of Trick Room left, and then you have to Meteor Beam, waste one of your Trick Room turns. And then they can just double protect, like sacrifice something, and then they just stalled out Trick Room really easily.
Um, and another way I see things with this team playing out, or like because the Calyrex, right? It's like the idea is like you sit there and you just kind of launch those strong glacial lances until like you get the attack boost and then you snowball. But you're given so much less time to do that form. Like you kind of already have to have like be up against like a weakened team, like a couple of weakened Pokemon, all right, and then you can click the glacial lance into them, and then only then can you get the boost because there's so many Pokemon that like they're starting like again like the metagame is getting bulkier, right? You have these Lunalas going around. There's
Yeah.
always as many Urshifu Waters, Samazentas, the Wide Guard
Also, like
Pokemon.
with the hard tier teams, usually they want to like get lances off and then get a Trick Room up, and then they get a second Trick Room up. So you can't like stall out 2 Trick Rooms very easily. That's 10 turns of Trick Room, or like 8 with the setup turns, and that's a really long time. So they're getting 4 turns of attack if you protect every other turn. But the thing is, with how powerful the Pokemon are now, you're not getting that second Trick Room.
True. Yeah, like you're not really given the
So
opportunity to like withstand all of those hits.
yeah, so it's only like you get 2 hits if they protect every other turn. You get 2 chances to kill something, and that's it. Also, you're not even probably gonna kill something with Lance. Because if it's like leading DD Calyrex, helping hand Lance isn't OHKOing anything unless it's super effective, or it's like really frail. It's
Yeah,
only
like
like 75.
yeah, like if you look at the Pokemon that are like doing well in these events, like they're always like the really bulky mons, right? Incerner, Shiogapon, Hearthflame, right? Zama, CSR holds a Focus Sash, Iron Hands, things like that. Pelipper even, Amoonguss can train to lift Glacial Lance. Um, again, like the Focus Sash picks were becoming like way more common. None of this team, minus like the Miraidon, non-Terra Miraidon, will die to a Glacial Lance. And like
Also, I'm
you,
like
even
pretty
then,
sure Miraidon on that team, it just lives Glacial Lance Raw.
yeah. So like
They can do that.
even then, if you like get that opportunity somehow, it still might not fully go in your favor. So like I think one of the last things I have to say is that like with Calyrex, the reason it won't work is because like in Reg G, it's low risk with like such a high reward once you get it going, versus now it's a high risk, but your reward is so much less because of like that kind of lower damage output due to the way the meta is now.
Yeah, also in Reg G, you were constantly playing the mind game of, like, against the balanced teams. It was like, are they gonna Trick Room or are they gonna Glacial Lance? Now, if they just Glacial Lance, they're not gonna have the survivability to Trick Room. So they are kind of forced to Trick Room.
And even then, like, you can just kind of counter that by going for like a taunt or something, right?
Yeah.
And also, like Lunala's presence in this metagame is one of the last notes I wanted to touch on. So this Pokemon just kind of shuts down Calyrex Ice. It's starting to run Terra Water, right? To be more wary of it. Resist the Glacial Lance. You hit it with like a big old Meteor Beam. And then like that, if it doesn't kill into Moongeist, will most certainly kill if they Terra. You hit them with an Expanding Force. And then rock one of their teammates as well. And this Pokemon just like, it isn't doing anything to your team.
Yeah, it also just like, it doesn't really have any good restricted matchups.
But yeah, it's just like it just kind of struggles, right? Like there's always room for the meta to change, right? Miraidon could become super popular, and I guess something else that Calyrex Ice beats, right? So like this Pokemon, like it will always,
Yeah.
yeah, like it'll always have potential in this format, but probably not nearly as much as it did in Reg G.
I think for Calyrex to come back, it needs to have like Landorus needs to become as popular as it was in Reg G, if not more. And there needs to be like a restricted duo that just loses to it. Like it's not like Miraidon or CSR. Like it needs good matchups in order to be justified.
True, yeah, because like it had good matchups back in G, but like now it just doesn't. But
Yeah.
we will see if that is true at the Milwaukee Regional Championships happening this weekend. And I believe that is a good point to conclude on. I would like to thank everybody for watching. Delta, if you have any closing remarks.
No, I'm good.
All right, good to hear. But again, yes, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more VGC videos. And with that all being said, goodbye and good night.